Hi guys, Smith here, welcome to the 4th round of the AOR Formula C League, and today I'm at the Willow Springs International Raceway. Now last time out in Dubai I finished first in both races. Now it's fair to say there was not much competition. I out-qualified second place by about 4 seconds, and I won the first race by about 15 and the second race by about 25 seconds. I think there's more competition here today. Living Dead and Atticus are both here, the guys I consider to be the quickest drivers really in this league. But also I think there's other guys as well that weren't here last week that also could pose a threat here today. So coming into this race, I actually did quite a lot of practice for it. I started practicing straight after the GT3 Pro League, and I didn't like it at the start, and I still don't really like it now, but I'm actually got pretty good pace around here. I did a 107.8 in practice, which if I can replicate that in qualifying today, then I think I should have a good chance of getting pole. But you never know really, people could be quicker, but I really do think that I've got a sort of decent setup on the car that should put me near the front of the grid. Exiting turn 9 now anyway, and coming towards the line, I am lacking a little bit of top speed, but I do a 108.096, which will put me in second position. So I was only around about a 10th off Wookie Pete, who qualified on pole. So I was disappointed. If I'd have done my lap in practice, what I'd done, then I'd have got pole, but that's just the way it goes. Hopefully, I can win the race, but it's going to be very hard. Lack of opportunity to overtake really here. Hardly no braking zones either. So anyway, into the race, lights go out and I get a really poor start, and I think that's Matthew D and Atticus as well, who's jumped me, so I'm down to 4th. Lost 2 positions at the start, but Atticus spins ahead of me, so I'm up into 3rd position. But really disappointing start. I reacted to the lights way too slow, which cost me 2 positions, but luckily I made one up straight away through Atticus spinning. But moving on to lap 4, and as you can see, I'm topping out on the straight, and I've got no sort of way of trying to get past Matthew D as I sort of slide out on the exit of turn 1. Moving on to lap 5, and again same situation, just topping out. Can't get really the top speed to try and get past Matthew D, and it was so frustrating as well, because if I'd have had an extra 5 or 6 miles an hour, I'd have got past him. But that's just the way it goes. And what's the most frustrating part about the track, it's got really no braking zones, so there's only about 2 braking zones, which we're coming up to really now. You don't really brake for them, you just sort of lift off the throttle. So, and you've really got to be brave as well to try and make an overtake here, and hope really someone goes wide, which obviously as you see he sticks right to the inside line. So moving on to lap 9, and again we're still right behind Matthew D, and this was sort of the story for the whole sort of race. Still following him, still hoping really he'd make a mistake, because I knew there was no chance of me sort of getting past, because you've really got to be sort of a brave sort of person on the brakes, which I'm not really that sort of brave on the brakes, so that's not one of my strong points. And I'm sort of trying to force him into a mistake, hoping he makes a mistake. He's sort of making a few mistakes now, but again, he sort of comes over a little bit, and then we touch. I think he might have gone onto the gravel there at that moment, but he didn't. So again, it's just watching it back, and it's sort of, as I remember it, so frustrating. I was so quicker than him in the middle sector, but coming to the straights, it was just couldn't get past him. Topping out now, 153, and you'll see me here lose the car, and that cost me a couple of seconds to Matthew D. So, but I managed to catch him up by about a lap 17 on last lap, putting more pressure on him. But again, he's going to have to make a mistake really for me to get past. Exiting turn 5, coming through turn 6, and he's really, to be honest, I've got to be fair, he's drove a really good race. He hasn't made any mistakes. He actually did quite well. I was surprised. I thought he'd make a mistake, but he drove really well, and it was actually me that made the mistake, so I was trying to pull him under pressure, but he didn't crack, and he managed to take home second position. So well done to Matthew. I think Wookie Pete won the race as well, so I believe they're both on the same team, so it's a 1-2 for them. But yeah, really frustrating for me. I really should have done better than that. As you see, it says I'm in second, but I finished in third. Another glitch, I think, from Project Cars, which I have to sort out, but hopefully in race 2 I can sort of improve. I think it's going to be sort of difficult, but you know, it's just really going to have to try and qualify well in that sort of one-shot qualifying sort of situation where we have 5 minutes to qualify. Really got to try and nail the lap. So we'll go on to qualifying 2 now. And Dutar Rex has left the session, so we're down to 6 drivers now in this session, coming through turns 2. Long sort of turn, and this track, to be honest, it's quite boring track, I think, really. You know, it's not really challenging. Mainly it's all straights, really quite top speed, not really a challenging sort of track except for these 2 corners here, which is very easy to lose the sort of rear end of the car, and this corner here as well. So now coming out of turn 5 into turn 6, now down the hill for this long sort of straight bit, but they are turns, turn 7, turn 8, and I'm hitting the rev limiter really now, nearly hitting the rev limiter. But yeah, I think I did change the top speed to try and maximise a bit more on straights, but it didn't really seem to actually work, and I think I'm going to be slower than my actual qualifying lap in the first time. And yeah, I did at 1:08.4, which put me in 4th position. And yeah, I mean, that was frustrating considering this track's probably really bad to overtake if you've got really rubbish top speed. It was actually a poor qualifying, and gotta just try and make sure I don't lose any places at the start, otherwise that will be total disaster for this second race. But anyway, let's get into it now. Green light goes, lights out, away we go for race 2 of the 4th round of the season here in Willow Springs. So I don't lose any positions at the start. So into turn 1, Matthew D is behind me, Living Dead, and I believe Atticus and Wookie Pete are in front, so just got to try and close them up. But it's interesting to see if this setup change will work. I don't think it really will, but anyway, I've closed up to Living Dead on lap 2. I'm going to try and go around the outside. I don't brake a little bit too early, but as I say, I'll lose the rear end and he loses the car as well, and that gives Matthew D 3rd position. And as you'll know, Matthew D has got really good speed from the first race, well, on the straight. So anyway, on lap 4, Matthew D pulled a 2-second gap, so I seem to be slower than the first race. And then I turn in way too early on the curb, throws me off. And yeah, it's just frustrating really, I suppose, you know. And again, it happens again, lap 7. I just turn in too early, sort of deja vu from the first incident, and throws me back off. And the gap again reduces to about 4 seconds to Speedy, so all that time we gained on him, all that time we made on him, sort of lost. But then I think Atticus made a couple of mistakes and we gained 3rd. So 3rd position, we was very lucky because I drove an absolute terrible race. One of the worst races I've driven in this league, probably the worst. But anyway, I can't, as I say normally, hope you enjoyed it, but it was a really poor race. To be honest, I hope this track ain't raced on again, because lack of opportunity to overtake, and it weren't really that exciting. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and until next time for Silverstone, which should be a better race for me, thanks for watching and goodbye.